Alright guys, this will be my second time recording this video because I just took 30 minutes of footage of just the road, and I assumed you wanted to see something other than that. So here we are, 1968 Yamaha YL1, also known as a Twinjet. This is a little two-stroke twin, which should, in theory, fire right up because I just rode the snot out of it. Watch it prove me wrong. Here we go. I also apologize if the audio in this video is as bad as it was in the first one. Kickstart. No electric shenanigans here. Come on, girl. Good girl. I should also point out that that is not normally the case with this bike. It's normally more like a 5 kickstart kind of bike. You see a lot of people on these old bikes and they are very quick to proclaim starts first kick. This is not that bike. So, off we go. Those of you astute viewers will note that this is a two-stroke bike. Oop, and that is a taxi. Don't mess with taxis around here. They have two jobs: get you from A to B and kill motorcycle riders. So this is a two-stroke, obviously. It is a 100cc two-cylinder two-stroke. So two tiny little 50cc cylinders just going as fast as their little heart can. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. The great thing about these little bikes is that it just makes you so damn happy to ride. This bike makes me smile, and it makes people around you just laugh and smile, and everyone sort of looks at you when you're on a tiny little noisy bike. When I first got it, I told my wife it's like riding around on an angry little wasp. It's just really noisy and so tiny and furious, but it doesn't really like do much. This bike obviously features drum brakes front and back. If you have never ridden a bike with drum brakes front and back, it is quite the experience. It will stop eventually, but it's not gonna lock up the front wheel anytime soon. Currently I'm actually only using the front brake on this because the rear drum is acting a little odd. Seems to lock up the rear brake when I apply it. I'll give it a try on this ride. We'll see if I fix that problem. I was working on it today. The other thing you'll notice if you've never ridden an old bike like this, again this bike's 50 years old, is that the suspension is nigh like a new bike. Whee! The suspension on these old bikes, the first time I rode one was a Honda Cub. I was convinced there was actually something wrong with it. I was like, there's something wrong with the suspension. There is something wrong with the suspension, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's just how they are. It's not exactly firm, but if you go over a bump too quickly, it will try and catapult you off. The rebound recoil is just insane. Obviously, the great thing about a little two-stroke like this is, other than the noise, the smell. Nothing smells better than two-stroke smoke. Feel the power. Oh, bump. The thing I love about the YL1 is that if you didn't have any sort of size reference to put it up against, if you were just looking at it by itself, it has the proportions of a bigger bike. It has quite big, you know, proportionately big side pipes, you know, twin pipes coming off down both sides. It's got a really cool looking retro tank. I don't know where I am. Ooh, there's that suspension. So it does sort of look like someone put a regular bike in the dryer. Oh, a second gear, maybe preemptive. Come on, come on, come on, come on. You ride this bike the way you ride a lot of these very small capacity bikes. It's either throttle wide open or throttle not open at all. The good thing about two-strokes is they do quite like being revved. You know, you can rev this thing till the cows come home and it's sort of happy with it. It does have a power band like most two-strokes, but it's so hardly noticeable because it's 100 cc's and not, you know, a 250 or a 400 or something. But just the best thing about these bikes is they're so much fun to ride. You can just flip them around. This bike weighs about 60 kilos. It weighs about the same as me. And people just smile, and you smile, and everyone just enjoys it. Because there's nothing intimidating about it. You know, I've ridden a lot of super sport bikes and large capacity, you know, impressive bikes. And while you'll get looks from teenage boys and other riders, when you're on this, kids, parents, oh no, third gear, wrong gear, please. Everyone can just sort of, bounce, relate to something that's very unintimidating like this. You know, of all the bikes I've ever had, and all the cars I've ever had, people get more enjoyment out of seeing this little thing buzz by than any of them. I seldom go on a ride that doesn't have people stopping or wanting to talk about the bike, ask questions about it. It's just a joyous little thing. So we've talked about the brakes. They are... look, they're okay for this bike. We've talked about the suspension. It's an experience. We've talked about the noise. It is bloody noisy. We've talked about the power. This is wide open throttle right now. If you have the means, get yourself a second bike, a third bike, whatever, a first bike, and make it be a little two-stroke, small capacity bike. Because no matter where you're riding on it, you will be happy that you're on your way. Alright. Let's have a little stop and do a walk around. So there she is. All 3/4 size of her. Just rattling away. Give her a couple of revs for you. That is the smell of happiness. Alright, so that's about it. I'll do some more videos on her as time goes, I'm sure, but Yamaha YL1, the smile maker.